So I'd like to welcome all of you for the third day of the Journey of Self-Discovery course. I'm going to start off with the 2 points that we left yesterday, and I don't want to miss them, and continue on with our session for today, which is entitled Who Am I? Sincerest gratitude to all of you again. Yesterday we were discussing about the existence of God, and I'll quickly summarize after I discuss this topic. A lot of people usually would tell us that you speak about God and the existence of God, and you talk about logic. You talk about reasoning. Didn't we speak about logic yesterday? Creation implies a creator, law implies a lawmaker, there is order and design, demands and urges means there must be a fulfillment. We heard it all. We heard the definitions of God, logic. We heard the existence of scripture, logic. Can you show me God? Can you show me God? Every now and then, whenever I travel to the Western world, people at the airport, people at the train stations, people when I'm walking on the streets just bump into me, and looking at my appearance, they know that I'm a monk. Most people will bump into me and ask me this question. Sir, you look like a monk, you look like a man of God with all the stuff painted on your forehead and the bed sheets wrapped around you. Could you kindly tell us, have you seen God? I guess a lot of people have that question. Whether we can or not, आप तो धर्म के आदमी है ना, जिंदगी दिया है इधर, एक इलेक्ट्रिकल इंजीनियरिंग का सीट बर्बाद कर दिया, किसी अच्छे बेचारे को मिल जाता था, बर्बाद करके यहाँ आ गए, न तो वहां के न यहाँ के, देखा है भगवान को, देखा है. We're going to talk a little bit about this before we move on to our next topic. There was a college, and in the college, arts college, so there was a class on philosophy. It was the beginning of the semester, all fresh students, first years, and the professor came in, and he was an atheist, non-believer. He came and said, "Good morning to all of you. I must say something that we are going to have a lot of fun this semester in the field and faculty of philosophy. I have a question for all of you kids," not you, he said. "I have a question for all of you kids. Is there anyone here who believes in God?" There was a guy sitting there, he raised his hand. The professor made him stand up. "You said you believe in God. How do you define God?" The kid said, "God is the source of everything." Something like what we said yesterday. God is the source of everything. The professor cut him there. Said, "You say God is the source of everything, that means He's the source of good?" Said, "Of course. And if you said He's the source of everything, then He must also be the source of bad. How would you explain that?" Quiet, couldn't say anything. Then he said, "Anyone else has the guts to say he believes in God?" All students were slightly scared, but one raised his hand. Said, "Okay, you say you believe in God. Have you seen God with your eyes?" "No, sir." "Have you touched God with your hand?" "No, sir." "Have you smelt God with your nose?" "No, sir." "Have you tasted God with your tongue?" "No, sir." "Have you heard God with your ears?" "No, sir." The professor said, "Therefore, based on the protocols and rules of science, I say that there is no God. If you can't see Him, touch Him, feel Him, hear Him, smell Him, there is nothing like that exists." One boy said, "Sir, may I say something?" I said, "Okay, I have a question for you." He asked the professor, "Sir, is there something called as darkness?" The professor said, of course there's something called as darkness." The student said, "Sorry, sir, although you may be a professor of philosophy, may I beg to differ by saying that there's nothing called as darkness. There is something called as light, And the absence of that light is called darkness. This lamp source here is the source of light. And the same lamp source will be the source of darkness. When? When you decide to turn it off. The professor said, the student said, similarly, sir, God is the source of all good. When you decide to turn off that good in your life, what comes is the darker side, or bad. Then he turned towards all of his colleagues and friends and said to all his colleagues and friends, friends, how many of you here have seen the brain of the professor? They said, no. How many of you have tasted the brain of the professor? Dimag chata hai uska? None of us. How many of you have smelt the brain of the professor? Touched the brain of the professor? No. Heard the brain of professor? No. Therefore, according to the protocol and the rules of science, I say that the professor has no brains. Only very shallow people with very shallow thinking go by the dictum, seeing is believing. It's not just seeing is believing. But people who are very shallow minded talk about seeing is believing. Show me, then I shall believe. Others don't so much go by that theory. We are all using an air conditioner here, probably a fan. And when you see the fan moving and revolving, what do you know? There is an electric current flowing. How many of you seen an electric current? How many of you seen the flow of electrons through the wire? Huh? Have you seen electricity? One child in the classroom, the teacher called the father and said, your son is such a nut, you know. Last 3 weeks I am trying to teach him how to pronounce the word electricity. This guy always keeps saying electricity. Electricity. The father said, what to do? That is his capacity. What can he do? You know what I mean? As soon as you see a fan revolving, you see electricity, isn't it? An electric current. Can you see it? No. Do you believe it? If you don't, come to me. I'm an electrical engineer by profession. I'll just touch the 2 wires to you. You don't have to see it. Seeing is not believing. I'll just complete the circuit through you, and when you get the 440 ka jhatka, you will say, I believe. Sometimes when you don't believe that seeing, na, God has to give you a 440 volt ka jhatka. लगता है ना फटका झटका फिर जैसे पहले दिन मैंने बोला था मंदिर घंटी प्रभु sorry to come to you, you know. There's something called there's a theory of cause and effect. I may not be able to see the cause, but by seeing the effect, I conclude that there has to be a cause. When I see the fan revolving, I may not be able to see the cause, the electric current, but by the movement of the fan, I conclude that there has to be a cause. And the cause is electricity in this case. Have you ever seen an arrow rushing towards its destination? Probably not, maybe on a television. High velocity arrow, you know, rushing towards its destination. And you may not be able to understand where this arrow is coming from. People who are sane know that if the effect is the arrow moving, what is the cause? What is the cause? Huh? Inter-target. Haji? Not the bow. The archer. A bow and arrow both are there. Where arrow will move? When the effect is the movement of the bow and the archer is hiding behind a tree, you may not see the archer. But knowing the effect, you know that there must be a cause. Three guys were talking to each other, friends, you know. And one friend said, my father is the greatest amongst all of your fathers. My father is such a great archer, na? He shoots an arrow and then runs behind the arrow. and reaches before the arrow reaches. So the other side said, what the hell, your father? My father's greater than your father. He said, what does your father do? He said, my father's a shooter. He shoots from a gun faster than an arrow the bullet goes, and before the bullet reaches, he reaches. The third guy said, my father is the greatest amongst all three of our fathers. He said, how? Who is he? He said, he's a government servant. He said, how? He said, the office leaves at 6, he reaches home at 3. The effect always proves the cause. When you see a fantastic puppet show, the dancing of puppets, only a child will think that the puppets dance on their own. Any sane person, after seeing the effect of the movements of the puppet, shall very well know that there are puppeteers standing behind the scene and making the puppets dance, because they don't dance on their own. The theory of cause and effect means that although we may not be able to see the cause, the effect proves the cause. If this world is like a fast-moving fan, God is like the unseen cause. If this world is like a fast, high-velocity moving arrow, God is like the unseen archer. If this world is like the dancing of a puppet, God is like the puppeteer who makes these puppets dance. The unseen is proven by the seen. What we can see, the effect, proves the cause. Therefore, I say it takes greater faith to be a non-believer. It doesn't take faith at all to believe in God. It's not a question of faith. Open your eyes around and you will see that there is someone above there who's running the show. It takes tremendous faith and effort to believe that there is no one up there. Atheism is a path of faith. Shraddha. नास्तिकवाद में श्रद्धा लगती है. Believing and theism is just objective outlook. You don't require any faith there. Just look around the world and you will see objectively that everything moves around in a certain way. Therefore, how do you see God? Even if you can't see Him straight, you can see Him through the effect of the world. Many times I say, don't try to see. Experience. Experience is way greater than vision, than any of the sensual feelings, hearing, seeing, smelling. Experience is way greater than any philosophical analysis and rational discussions. One experience, person says, yes, there has to be someone. Don't try to see what he looks like. Try to feel his hand. You may not be able to see his hand, but you can definitely feel his hand. The effect proves the cause. I can share hundreds of stories in my personal life to tell you how these experiences enhance our conviction and our faith more than these discussions and philosophical conclusions. That experience is an incredible uplifting, parameter which takes our faith to another level. But nevertheless, beyond the scope of what we are talking today, for those who join my Gita discussions in the future, we'll be elaborately covering these subject matters later, outside the scope of what we're talking this evening. Naturally, you remember last night I was talking about these radio receivers and all that stuff, and the Shabda Praman is there, and because our hearts cannot tune, so Vyasdev wrote it down, scriptures. So naturally the question comes, why should I put my faith in that book, Huh? You're asking me to put my faith in those junky, old, primitive, tribal books? The Vedas and stuff like that, and Gita and Bible and Quran and the Torah. What are you saying? Believe in the books? Maybe a human being wrote them. Last night we discussed. Scripture is the word of God written down by a man of God. How do I believe in the scripture? First, historical information given in the scriptures is proven, the H in our acronym. When Christopher Columbus started on his voyage of planet Earth, as he was moving out, they told him, don't go to the other extreme of the earth because the earth is flat. If you go to the other extreme of the earth, you will fall in space. Years later, after a lot of change, finally we have come to a conclusion that the earth is round. Christopher Columbus apparently is the guy who found out the 7 continents. You read our scriptures, dated millions of years back. And guess what Earth is called? Bhu Gol. Bhugol. Read the Srimad Bhagavat. And the Bhagavat has the verse Bhugolam Sapta Dvipam Mahim. The earth is round and Sapta Dvipam has 7 continents. Christopher Columbus didn't find the 7 continents out. And it's not that the earth was not round, it was always round. So therefore, historical information given in our books has been proven today. Why do you want to mistrust a book where the stuff written there is proven? People were talking about, based on the Mayan calendar, 2012, everything will be destroyed. We have entered into 2013. Why the heck should we trust those books? Why should we trust those books when we objectively are seeing that what's written there is not even coming true? Here are books where the information written has been proven. Has been proven. People were mistaken about their ideas and now they are coming back to the same point. Human embryology. About 50, 60, whatever years back, a physician in England, Englishman, British man called Ian Donald, in the year 1957 invented ultrasound sonography. 1957, just about half a century back. Till the sonograph was available, no one under the sun had any clue at all how does the embryo or the fetus in the womb of the mother develop. If you look at the Srimad Bhagavat, there's a personality called Kapila Muni. Kapila Muni explains to his mother Devahuti, from the day of conception when the ovum and the semen mix together, till the day of birth, what are the different stages of development of the fetus millions of years back. So I'm thinking, if we're thinking this is a primitive book not to be put faith in, we can trust a sonograph, and we can't trust a book which has spoken about these things way before the sonograph was invented, where we had no access to see what was in the womb of the mother. It's quite stunning to me when people come and say, I can't believe. Open the books, dive your heads into the books, look at the books, look at what's written in the book, and then say, I don't believe. Don't just by the Western influence and the hedonistic culture come and say, I'm a non-believer, man. What non-believer, man? Open the books first. Look into the books first. Then say, I don't believe. If you objectively looked at realities and then say, I don't believe, I can argue with you based on that. People just come and for no reason at all, without having looked into the books, without having verified, without having done any research, without having studied any book, just come and say, I don't believe, man. It's quite strange to me. But very true. Cow dung. Quite interesting, you know. You know, when I don't know how many of you had your connections in a village, like, you know, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra. How many of you in your childhood would go to visit your villages like for a vacation? How many of you had cows around in the homes and areas around giving nice cow dung, you know? My God, every night now I burn a cow dung cake. Now in English it's translated as cow dung cake. बोला बर्थडे पे काटते नहीं ना मुझे. English doesn't have an equivalent of a gobar ka kanda. So cow dung cake, every night I burn it, and there's something called as frankincense. You put this frankincense, mosquitoes are gone because I keep my windows open to get some fresh air. Keep the mosquitoes away. Oh, such divine fragrance of cow dung and frankincense. Seems holy. I mean, you don't try in an AC room. Big trouble there. You know what? Whenever you would go, I remember in my childhood, my grandma, whenever I would fall off and get hurt, she would put cow dung there. And I would say, "Chee, tatti laga rahi hai kisi ka? What is this? The crap of a cow, man, you're putting on my knee." You know what science has proven? Cow dung has got antiseptic properties better than any antiseptic cream. Were they crazy? Not at all. How many of you had your remote village homes covered with cow dung on the floor? Sometimes on the walls. One of my highlights would be to go, that rough texture. In fact, in my room now, I'm going to be putting cow dung on my walls. And it's not like a dirty thing to look at, huh? Very beautifully designed one. You come one day and see. बोलेंगे प्रभु जी क्या इंटीरियर के हमको भी सिखाओ ना. आप तो साधु हो के एकदम इंटीरियर से ही करते. Do you know something? Modern science, American scientists have proven that cow dung has the ability to screen off ultraviolet radiations, UV radiations. घर के ऊपर दीवार पे ऊपर बाहर से गोबर लगाने पागल उल्लू नहीं थे लोग. All what has been proven now has been spoken in our scriptures millions of years back. Plants have life. Who proved? Jagdish Chandra Bose. Until Jagdish Chandra Bose proved plants didn't have life. They didn't have life, isn't it? Only when Jagdish Chandra Bose proved plants are living creatures. Our scriptures have always classified plants as one amongst the 8,400,000 living species, which we'll be talking a little bit about on the 5th day of our discussion, which is Tuesday. And therefore, historical information given in our scriptures is proven. It's not just that, friends. You have to know one more thing. You buy a device now, you get an instruction manual along with it. You buy a phone, you buy a laptop, you buy a refrigerator, you buy an air conditioner, you buy an electric shaver, anything at all. You get an instruction manual along with it, which tells you what to do with it and what not to do with it. Both the do's and the don'ts are given in there. You buy a Samsung Galaxy Note, and you see me having an iPhone, which is not working today, by the way. My remote control has conked off, so I have to go back to the laptop every now and then. You see me have an iPhone. You say, sir, I got a Galaxy Note, Samsung. Today people are very concerned about Samsung. Satsang, forgotten, in Samsung. You get this phone, your Samsung Galaxy Note, and you say, hey, Prabhuji, Maharajji, Sadhuji, Guruji, मेरा ना वो डब्बा है ना सैमसंग का खो गया. तो मैं सब मेरा कागज वागज और नोट वोट क्या मैनुअल सब गया. आपका मैनुअल दो ना. I'll use yours. I said, अरे mine is an iPhone. It won't work for you, Samsung. नहीं सबका सब फोन है ना, सब तो फोन ही है. अरे सब फोन है तो क्या हुआ? Who gives you the manual? The company who manufactures it. They know the details gone into the gadget, so they can tell you what to use, how to use it, and how not to use it. Did we create the world? Did we create life? If this phone was manufactured by Steve Jobs' men, he's gone already, at Macintosh Incorporation, San Jose. Many of my friends live in San Jose. That's why I have a lot of, in fact, I'm going to visit the headquarters, San Jose, Apple headquarters, for a lecture very soon. I already gave a talk at Macintosh, London, and I'm going to be going to Macintosh, San Jose for a talk. Imagine, Steve Jobs people manufactured this, a phone manufactured by them. They know what it is. They've given you an instruction manual, how to use it, how not to use it. If God created this gadget called the world, and if God created this gadget called life, He also has given along with this gadget a manual to tell us how to use it, how not to use it. You say, I am not going to use the manual for my phone. No issues, sir. No issues at all. You may not use your manual for the phone, it will conk off. If your phone is meant to work at 110 volts, I don't know, whatever the voltage is, whatever little tiny voltage, and if you're going to put it in a 230 volts ka socket, there'll be Diwali. Fireworks for you before you buy some fireworks and firecrackers, Come on. You cannot say that I won't use a manual when I buy a gadget. The company has given it because they created it. So if God created life and God created world, you say, I don't want the book. Well, you have a choice. Look at the mess. Oh, look at the mess. Look at the mess the world is in. Look at the mess that people's lives are in. They can't handle a slight transgression done by a relative. Forget about an enemy. Forget about an hostile enemy. They cannot handle a slight transgression created by a relative. Oh, how sound your life is, isn't it? What sound life, what peaceful life that something someone says takes your sleep away. Are we so cheap? Are we so low class that we can't get a night's sleep because someone said something? My God, it's quite strange, you know. When you choose not to live by the instruction manual, the do's and don'ts given by the person who manufactured the thing, you can expect trouble. We had a whipping machine in our temple, came from England. All the cooking we do is for the deities. Yesterday I said we made the mocha, not for me. सब बोले प्रभु जी आप तो एकदम हाईटेक है बाबा, खुद ही मोचा बनाते हैं, खुद ही खाते हैं क्या? हम लोगों को लगता है आप जैसा बनना पड़ेगा, हम भी नहीं करते जी ऐसा. I don't make it for myself, for our deities, Radha Gopinath. We had this whipping machine which came from England, or like 1,000 pounds, 1,500 whatever pounds. Good, very good quality one. And one of the ladies in the kitchen, she thought it's कामच नहीं करत. हे फेंक दिया उसने कचरे में. She threw it in the kachra. So one of our monks, who is a tech savvy guy, he picked it up. So nothing's wrong with the machine. She was trying to operate it at a wrong voltage because she didn't know how to read the manual. Simple. And then one of our monks went and plugged it into a wrong voltage. Diwali. After that, this devotee called Gaur Gadadhar Prabhu, the technical man, he saw it. He realized he had not stepped down the voltage. Finally, she got a step down transformer. Last 8 years, that machine is functioning with no problem. You want these machines to function well? Simple. If you don't go by the instruction manual that the creator made, expect some trouble, you know. So you can't say, I don't believe in this. Well, you can. I don't have a problem with that. The mess is later. The third is predictions. Scriptures, all of our scriptures predicted personalities millions of years back. Gautam Buddha, we studied as history. Our scripture spoke as prediction that he will be born. This is what he will do. This is what will happen. You know, our scriptures predicted in the Bhagavad, in the Chaitanya Upanishad, in the Mahabharata, a personality called Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who came 500 years back. And he did. All the predictions came true. They predicted personalities like Chanakya Pandit, Chandragupta Maurya, King Ashoka. All of these personalities were predicted to the detail and they came true. You wouldn't be surprised, or probably you would be, that some of our scriptures predicted Jesus Christ. You would probably be surprised that some of our scriptures predicted Prophet Muhammad. And all the predictions were true. True to the letter. None of those predictions were like Nostradamus's. Kai hotas nahi. Year 2000 also, Y2K. Remember Y2K crisis? 2000 in the year 2000 things will go wider. 2012, abhi aagale 2024. Keep going, man. Where are your predictions coming true? Look at this book. Each and every single prediction came true. Can I mistrust it now? Therefore my acronym is HIP. You're all very hip people. Very modern people. Historical information given in this book has come true. I stands for how it acts as an instruction manual. How can you not have faith in the instruction manual? You can, but you have to mess up your life then. And P is the predictions given in these books have come true. And therefore, please join me in quickly going through the summary slide before we move on to our topic today. Yesterday we discussed the proof for existence of God. C, Lord. Creation, Creator. L, laws, lawmaker. OR, order and design. D, demands and urges. Second thing we discussed was the definition of God. Spec. S, source. P, proprietor. E, enjoyer. C, controller. And I think our friend here will never forget that example, right? You were the one who was sitting in the front chair and you became my I don't want to use the word bakra, but you became my object of question. Sorry, huh? I hope I didn't offend you yesterday. Spec. And the second definition we discussed was Bhagavan means one who possesses 6 bhagas. Bhaga means opulences. And what are these 6 opulences? Wealth, beauty, strength, knowledge, fame, and renunciation. Anyone who possesses all 6 together forever is called God. The third thing we discussed is seeing God, which we didn't cover yesterday. I covered it today. How do we see God? Through the cause and effect. The effect proves the cause. How do we acquire knowledge about God? You remember Ronak? Coming right in front of us, someone said Chagan is his name. Someone said Raj is his name. You remember? Thank you, Ronak. We do know that there are 3 methods. What are they? Pratyaksha, P, Anuman, A, and Shabda, S. That Shabda which is available is written down, and therefore scripture is the written word of God. And the last thing we discussed was, how do I put faith in scriptures? Historical information, instruction manual, and predictions. Are you all with me? Thank you. Now we move on to our topic today, which is, who am I? Having understood about God, fine. Who am I? You remember the first day I said we play so many roles, isn't it? Can you imagine I have to play the role of a son to my mother? I have to play the role of a sibling to my sister. I have to play the role of a teacher to all of you. I have to play the role of a compassionate brother to people who come to me, give them a shoulder, Hundreds of people come to me to put their head on my shoulder and cry and tell me their tale of woe, to tell what they're going through, because they know here is where confidentiality is guaranteed. He won't blow his trumpet and tell the world. He won't take undue advantage of what I'm saying. And it's funny, just before I go to bed, about 10:30 after the program, just as I'm about to retire, I receive a phone call. Prabhuji! बोला क्या हो गया, प्रॉब्लम है? बोला कल नहीं बात कर सकते, अर्जेंट है. 12 o'clock he will talk till 10:30 to 12:30, and by hearing someone's problem till 12:30 you can sleep immediately. Quite amazing, It takes half an hour, 45 minutes till you think अभी क्या करना है इसके problem का, how to help him, how to help her, till you subdue your mind down to sleep. My God, which role should I play, When I travel overseas, my God, the pressures. In a day I have to sometimes give, weekends I give 5 to 8 lectures a day. One place to the other, hopping around all over the city wherever I travel. Saturdays and Sundays, good heavens, I think, my God. People are thinking, Prabhu ji, मजा करते हैं दुनिया भर घूमते, किधर किधर वेकेशन में जा रहे हैं. मजा चल रहा है प्रभु जी, कह रहे आके देखो भैया, चलो हमारे साथ, फिर देखते कैसा मजा होता है. 5 programs a day. And you know what, while I'm in England, London, every meal for 3 to 4 weeks has to be at people's homes, morning, afternoon, evening. I have one stomach. I'm a very health conscious guy. And everyone thinks, Salma, ek baar aave che Prabhu ji apna ghare. Arey dana dan 20 item, 25 double cream, whipped cream, heavy cream. And Prabhuji, by the time boards India, plane lands, Prabhuji is thick and thin, from thin to thick. Oh my goodness. Sometimes I'm wondering what roles do I need to play in life, My grandma, amazing lady, incredible lady, my grandmother. She was very affectionate to me. My mother, father, my grandma pampered me like anything. I love her. I still do. She's still living. And you know what? Now I've suddenly become a monk. तभी monk को कैसे connect करेगी grandmother? So whenever I go, she'll first cook for me my favorite items. I won't tell which ones, otherwise you'll all feed me the same thing when I come to your home. वही खाना पड़ेगा जिंदगी भर, मुझे बोलने का नहीं. God, she'll cook for me my favorite items. Then she will tell me, when my father passed away, my mother's a widow, my grandma's a widow, my sister's already married, 2 widows staying alone in a house. How do they take care of it all? My grandma comes to me on the 3rd day after we had Marwadi Jains, born as a Marwadi Jain, there's a ceremony called Uthamna. So after the Uthamna thing, my grandmother comes to me and holds my hand, and says, "Beta, you go. Your work is more important than just the two of us. I am there to take care of your mom. Don't worry." I say, what a lady, such a strong, determined lady. I know what happens every now and then. I go, she cooks and everything. And as I'm leaving, you know how those old grandmothers are, they'll come and they'll just kind of hold your hand suddenly like this. And they put money in your hand. I don't know if you ever experienced that, grandmothers. They'll hold your hand like this and they'll put money in your hand. So she'll always give me some donation. And after giving that money, she bends to touch my feet. I said, please don't. Don't. Then she says, look, till this point of time I acted as a grandmother. Feeding you. Now I'm giving you a donation as a sadhu. And as a sadhu, I have to respect your stature as a sadhu. Now you're no longer just my grandson. So I'm wondering for her, who am I? Multiple roles being played by all of us in life. God, what is birth? Where do we all come from? It's making it slightly sharper. Where do we all come from, Nowadays, internet is such an advanced stage, na? One child is asking the mother, when was I downloaded? The mother said, you are not downloaded, you are born, beta. Internet age means what to say, One teacher is asking the child, show me your homework. Child said, visit my homepage to see my homework. And you know what the internet weight loss forum is? Click your mouse 6 million times to lose 1 kilo. What's birth? Sober down, what's death? Where do I go from after this? Where did I come from in the first place? And where do I go after life's over? Is life after death a fact? Or is it simply some fiction? Who am I? Who are you? If you ask any layman on the street, who are you? What are the answers he'll give us? Can you write that? How will he identify himself or herself? How he or she will identify himself or herself? What identities do commonly people will tell you? Who are you? What would they answer? Name? They'll identify with their name. Nathuram Godse. Okay. What? Profession. Engineer, doctor, liar. Please put it down. Sorry. Sorry. Be calm. Be calm who main? Be calm. I joined this profession to be calm. Anyway, profession. Something else? Address. Okay, which is like address where they live. Sobo, South Mumbai. Okay, fine. South Mumbai. Religion, caste. Religion, okay. मैं हिंदू हूँ, क्रिश्चियन हूँ, मुसलमान हूँ, हाँ जी. State, हूँ गुजराती छू, मैं मारवाड़ी हूँ. Okay, state. Nationality, I'm an Indian, an American, blah, blah, European, whatever, Canadian. State, nationality, anything else? Haji? Religion? Relationship? As in father, mother? Yeah, relationships, okay, fine. Anything else? Gender, okay, thank you. जरूरी वाला बोल दिया अभी. Gender, okay, thank you. Identify as gender. Okay, I think that's sufficient. Can name change? Yes? I have heard people who got converted to Christianity, they have names like Mary Pawar, Jonathan Kamble. I've heard names like that. It's very common, Names can change. My name was not Gaur Gopal Das before. My guru has given me that name. My legal name on my passport is something else. Don't ask me what it is. Something else. Name can very well change. Can professions change? Oh yeah. Look at me. From an electrical engineer, I've become a lifestyle engineer. Changed my profession. Totally upgraded my profession, People today to kuch bhi ho jaye MBA. MBA is my... One guy went to take admission in an MBA college and is asking the watchman at the gate. बोलता है, कैसा है कॉलेज कैसा है? बोलता है, एकदम मस्त है, मैंने MBA इधर से किया है. Watchman said, I don't know come in. Join us. My God. Professions can very well change, no? And what about address? अरे, frequently. As जैसा अपना income ऊपर नीचे होता है, वैसे address भी बदलता है. Pay, capacity to pay. And then religion? Oh yeah. Hindu to Muslim, Muslim to Christian, Christian to blah blah. We have Zakir Naik there all the way, zapping away people, come. And then we have all the missionaries saying, come. And then we all this crazy bald Hindus were monks were saying, come. Change, क्या है यार? धर्म business है, इधर से उधर, तू ये ले आजा, बदल जा. Business है? Possible, na? Convergence? Religion? And can state and nationality change? अरे जरूर. ठाकरे साहब ने क्या किया मालूम है ना? महाराष्ट्र से सबको बंबई से भगाना चाहते थे. सब यूपी वाले सब लोग ओनली माझा महाराष्ट्र, माझी मुंबई है ना. सगळ्यांना पाठवा. कुठे पाठवा? बिचारे एवढे आले इकडे. राहू दे ना चांगलं. आपण असं काय आपलेच भाऊबंद आहेत सगळे. नाही पण आम्ही मराठा, आम्ही महाराष्ट्रीयन आहोत, असं कसं आम्ही घेणार त्यांना? चला निघा बाहेर. अरे बघावत. स्टेट कॅन चेंज, नॅशनॅलिटी कॅन चेंज. अरे व्हेरी वेल. अँड रिलेशनशिप्स? Divorce and all that to Ram. Once a child in a divorce case, the judge asked the child, the father and mother getting divorced, so the child is like, you want to stay with your papa? He said, no. Why? Papa beats. You want to stay with mama? No. Why? Mama beats. So then whom do you want to stay with? He said, the Indian cricket team. He said, why? They don't beat anyone. I prefer staying with them. और relationships, especially today, तो ऐसा बदलता है नहीं? कैसा बदलता है इधर की उधर? कल उसकी पत्नी थी यार, अचानक उसके शादी के रिसेप्शन में एक हफ्ते में कितना. One lady in the US sent a message to her father. Father said, you didn't, I'm sorry Papa, I didn't call you for your marriage, my marriage, sorry, I didn't call you for my marriage. Said, no problem, call me next time, beta. It's just a common thing. Gender, can it change? One of my friends, I won't take name, here in Bombay, his brother went to London. I don't know what happened to him in London. And he decided to change his gender. And the brother came back as a sister. So more than him having the identity crisis, the family had an identity crisis, how to relate. Aga asa karu nako, are asa kaise bolega, Maharashtrian family, how to speak. And I met this gentleman who's now a lady. She came to meet me. I don't know how to say, he came, she came, I'm confused. But someone came. We had a whole discussion about it all, why and all that, and there was a deep psychological issue that this person had, because of which he had to change his gender. You know, whatever reason they changed. In Chicago, for the driving license form, there's a clause, have you ever had a sex change? I don't know why, but it's there. है ऐसा, फर्क क्या पड़ेगा मालूम नहीं, but है उधर लिखा हुआ. Quite amazing. All of these things that change pertain to the body. All identities pertain to the body. I don't change. Do I? Just because my name changed from XYZ to Gaur Gopal Tas, I haven't changed. Just because I moved from Rajasthan, where I'm originally from, to Maharashtra, I don't change. Just because I got an American green card, I moved from India to the United States, Mississippi, I don't change. Just because my relationship with someone changes, I don't change. Who is that changeless me? All my identities keep moving from one to the other. Who is that changeless me? May I ask you a quick question? It's a little sensitive one. If one of your dearmost relatives, you can think of your child, whoever, because it's a sensitive one, you choose a not so close one, but you like the person, is going on a bicycle, you know, and the bicycle is run over by a truck, and that whoever, your child, brother, sister, husband, whoever, is lying there profusely bleeding, whom will you take to the hospital first? The cycle or your relative? Relative? Sure? How many Sindhis here? Okay, good. Thank you. How many Gujjus here? Arey, wow. How many Maru bhais? अरे बाकी सब ठीक है. I'm not undermining everyone else, हाँ? But ये तीन लोग ना, सिंधी, मारू, गुज्जू, I'm a मारू. पैसा आया ना जी. ऐसा कैसा business sense है? You are sure you will take your relative, child? अच्छा ठीक है. I'll ask you another question. Instead of the bicycle, your child is on a pulsar and meets with an accident and is profusely lying there in a pool of blood. Whom will you take to the hospital first? You are sure? Are you sure? मैडम से रहा नहीं गया. बोला तुम पागल है क्या यार, टकले क्या बोल रहा है? What are you speaking? I'll definitely take my child to the hospital first, right? You see, what are you talking? 100% I'll take my child to the hospital first. You know? Imagine if the child is driving a Mercedes SLR and meets with an accident and is lying in a pool. Whom will you take? इनसे भी रहा नहीं गया. बोला child, of course. यार क्या? What question are you asking? Child, of course. I'll tell you something. All the Marwadis, Sindhis and Gujaratis, I can publicly declare here today that all of you have lost any left sense of business that you ever had. You lost your sense of business. Business का sense निकल गया आपका. You want to know why? I'll tell you now. Why? Dr. Harry Monson, professor of anatomy at the Illinois College of Medicine, United States of America, has done an extensive study to find out what the components of this body are, and has found out all the different ingredients. Only a few are listed here, not all are, because of lack of space on the slide. And weight-wise, proportion-wise, what are the different ingredients that compose this body that we have? He has found out. And then based on the weight-wise composition, he went to a chemical shop to find out, if I buy that many ounces of calcium, that many ounces of phosphate, that many pounds of magnesium, what would the total cost of the body be? चलो लगाओ तुक्का. क्या लगता है आपको? हाँ? $400. एक हाँ जी 98 cents. क्या बात है? 98 cents. 135 rupees. अरे क्या आप गुजराती मारवाड़ी सिंधी कौन सा है जी? 135 rupees. लगाओ, बोली लगाओ. चलो आज व्याज पे बोले. ऑक्शन 200 rupees. Thank you, madam. Huh? $2. Wow. Some of you are accurate, huh? $2. Oh. You know what this man said? The worth of the body is rupees 110. 110. For a rough calculation, we'll take 100 rupees. How much does a bicycle cost? 8,000 पकड़ते 8,000. कैलकुलेशन में सिंपल छे. 8,000 रुपए का अगर बाइसिकल है, आपका बच्चा 100 रुपए का है ना. आपने बिजनेस सेंस खो दिया है. 100 रुपए का बच्चा, 8,000 रुपए की साइकिल. अरे साइकिल को ले जाना चाहिए ना हॉस्पिटल. पहले कहाँ ले जाएंगे मैडम आप? किसको ले जाएंगे? बच्चे को. 100 रुपए का है ना. नहीं ऐसा नहीं लगता आपको? बहुत बहुमूल्य है नहीं? बहुत कीमती. अच्छा ठीक है. अच्छा अभी छोड़ो ये साइकिल तो फिर भी सस्ता हो गया. ओनली 7,900 गॉन. चलेगा, ज्यादा नहीं गया. ऐसा तो इधर उधर खर्चा होता ही रहता है आजकल अपना. पल्सर अबाउट 80,000 bucks, और बेटा 100 रुपए का 79,900 रुपीज। किसको ले जाएंगे मैडम? बच्चे को 100 रुपए का है। आप सिंधी है ना, तो कैसे आप 100 रुपए बोल सकती है ऐसा? नहीं कहा जी, मैं पैसे की बात कर रहा हूं। कहां 100, कहां 80? अबे बिजनेस वाले लोग बिजनेस की बात करो ना भाई। ये सब इमोशनल हो गए क्यों इतने? सब अपने इमोशन, ये पागल हो गया है। ये आज शाम को कुछ खा के पी के आया है, पागल हो गया है। क्या बात कर रहा है ये? मर्सिडीज अबाउट 80 lakhs, 79 lakhs, 99,900 रुपीज। किसको ले जाएंगे? अभी तक कोई सुधरा नहीं, बच्चा 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 किए जा रहे हैं सब। हाँ क्या बोले, क्या बोले, क्या बोले भाई साहब, बताइए। What did he say? गाड़ी में बच्चे को डाल के लेके जाएंगे। गाड़ी भी आ गई, बच्चे भी। आप कौन से हैं 3 में से? अरे गुजराती डिफीट कर दिया सबको। गुजरात has won today. I must tell you something. All of us will only take our child. It's only 100 rupees worth, na? The body is simply 100 rupees worth. No. Science, madam, body I am saying, body, not your child. I'm not saying child. The body is 100 rupees worth. You know? Yeah, that's why. आगे आएगा ना स्लाइड, आप खुश हो जाएगी, डोंट वरी, यू विल बी वेरी हैप्पी। दिस इज नॉट माय कंक्लूजन मैडम, नॉट एट ऑल, डोंट वरी। माय गॉड, हरे कृष्णा। Oh, guess the emotion. अरे वाह, guess the emotion. हाँ, frustrated. हरे हरे कृष्ण। Guess the emotion. अरे आप कैसे, आप लोग से फेस रीडर से लगता है, कैसे आ गया? Guess the emotion. Love, affection. Huh? Can a bag of chemicals have emotions? I've been talking about chemicals and value in terms of chemicals, and everyone is going through emotion. नहीं, मैं बच्चे को ले जाऊंगे पहले। बच्चा बच्चा बच्चा। वही बच्चा अगर मरा रहे ना जी पहले ही, you don't value that body as much. What do? You have to finish it, burn it. But when that bachcha has life in it, na, my God, such incredible emotions, you know. Are we simply a bag of chemicals? Do you think? What Dr. Harry Monson said? केवल अपना बॉडी है ना, पोटेशियम, मैग्नीशियम, आयोडीन, पानी, ये वो, ऐसा है तो मेरे को धक्का मारो, केमिकल केमिकल में गिर जाएगा। Why consider it murder? Why consider it criminal murder? बोलो बहुत बोर किया आपने, 3 में खड़े रहे इधर। Chemicals will go to chemicals, finished. In the court, the judge will say you have taken life, not finished chemicals. We are not simply a bag of chemicals indeed. Who are we? What is that changeless I with all the identifications changing? I am not this temporary body. I am the eternal spirit dwelling within the body, for which you would leave a Mercedes, for which you will leave a fortune, for which you will leave everything under the sun for him or her. That spark, that person who lives within. But we are so accustomed to thinking I am the body na. Even when you talk to each other, how do we say, how is everybody at home? Have you taken note of our language? Just take a note of our language, that even in our psyche it's fit like that. We'll say, how is everybody at home? We've never asked anyone, how is every soul at home? How is every person at home? The body is not the person. The person is dwelling within the body. I'm sure you're all going to say, what is the proof of the existence of the soul? How do we prove that there is a soul? Please take note of the color of the slide. Changed. We moved to another topic. First is logic. In logic, we'll be discussing three things. The first in logic is common sense, which is highly uncommon these days. May I request some of the organizers to arrange some water for me? My throat is parched, dry, and I think it was supposed to be around here, isn't it? Thank you. You know what? Have any of you ever been to a funeral? Seen a dead body lying? Husband's dead, the wife's crying. मराठीमध्ये काय म्हणते ती? सोडून गेला रे मला, सोडून गेला. माझं कसं होणार? त्याचं कसं होणार विचार नाही करत. कसं होणार माझं? हिंदी में गया रे गया, छोड़ के गया रे मेरा गया, मैंने छोड़ ही नहीं चले गए रे. ಅವನ ತೀರ್ಕೊಂಡ. Any Kannadi guys here? ಅವನ ಮರಿಚ್ಚು ಪೋಯಿ. Any Malayalis here? Okay, thank you. Right, no? I said it right? Okay. Ocean Undal. This is Russian, by the way. You go to any part of the world, a body, dead body lying, now the relatives crying loudly and saying, मेरे को छोड़ के गया. कौन गया? पति गया मेरा. ये इधर सोया है. ये पति है. ये मेरा पति नहीं. अरे जिंदगी भर इसको घुमा के बोलती थी ये मेरा पति है. अभी बोलती है मेरा पति नहीं. तो किधर? ये मेरा पति नहीं है. This is my pati's body. My pati has left. See, common sense. Go to a funeral and by common sense you will understand that we are not this body. We are the soul living within the body. She says, this is not my husband. This is the body of my husband. My husband has passed away. Which means all through my life I was thinking, this is my husband. And only at the final moment I understood, this is not my husband. Friends, ladies, gentlemen, guys and girls, it is extremely important to learn to connect to the essence of the person, not the physical, temperamental natures of the people. All our relationships, when they just move on the mental plane, we don't understand who the person truly is. My God, what a mess we create, Understand. The person who is there, after death he leaves or she leaves, and that person remains forever. What's lost is the body. What can I do for that person? Offer a sincere prayer. Wherever that person is, he'll receive it. Say, उधर कैसा जाएगा? मैं इधर pray किया, वो किधर है मालूम नहीं उसका soul. चला गया किधर तो दूसरी जगह पे. My friend in America sometimes wires money to our temple. And when he wires money to the temple, we give him a temple account details. He is in Seattle. We are in Mumbai. And there's no physical money that we transfer from here to there. He puts his money in the account there. I withdraw the money in the account here, and that's money. When it comes to prayers which are way more powerful, imagine if I deposit my prayers here, and there's the same bank account connected to God, that person will withdraw the power of prayers, by the power of prayers there. And when such a thing happens, when someone very near and dear one leaves, it's a traumatizing experience. Just the fact that the person always remains, it's just the body that's gone, because we are not this body. The person within always remains. Of course, the affection, the relations, the emotions were there. But the more we get deeply rooted into the fact that the person was not the body, we get solace. The person remains. And we also become reflective. I may also have to go through this. Let me work on something in a way that when I go, I can't take anything along with me. One thing is, let me work for something that will go along with me when life ends. You know, आज जवानी पर इतराने वाले कल पछताएगा. चढ़ता सूरज धीरे धीरे ढलता ही ढल जाएगा. याद रख सिकंदर के हौसले भी हाली थे जब गया था इस जमी से, दोनों हाथ खाली थे. धन जमी जर जेवर कुछ न साथ जाएगा. खाली हाथ आया था खाली हाथ जाएगा. मुट्ठी बांध के आने वाले हाथ पसारे जाएगा. धन दौलत जागीर से तूने क्या पाया क्या पाएगा. चढ़ता सूरज धीरे धीरे ढलता ही ढल जाएगा. ऑफ कोर्स आई एम नॉट सेइंग मुझे दे दो धन दौलत जमीन. Keep it for while you are here, but work on something that you can take along. Don't just be so caught up in things here that you forget to plan for your future. You plan a vacation, you plan your investments, you plan your child's future, you plan everything. Do you plan your afterlife? Have you planned your afterlife? अरे दूर दूर की सोचते हैं. 2023 में मेरा इन्वेस्टमेंट कितना बढ़ेगा. 2023 से पहले डेथ आ गया ना, उसके बाद वाला क्या सोचा है? Have you thought about it and planned for it? If you haven't, na, start today. Planning for a time that is most crucial. It will happen to you, me, everyone. No one is an exception. And if no one is an exception and you haven't planned, put this in your planning list. What am I going to carry with me when I leave? You know? The second, I'm going to show this slide slightly later, you know. One moment. I want someone to volunteer for me. One guy. Any guy? You want to come? Huh? हाँ, अभी जाओ. તમારા પાસે હાથમાં શું છે? ઘડી વડી છે ના? આપો ને મને. I don't know Gujarati. I'm just very struggling with Guju. Everyone in London says Gujaratiમાં lecture આપો ne, all the Gujas, but I'm learning now, so therefore I have to start talking. I'm going to ask him a few questions. What is this? Watch. You sure? बराबर है ना? Whose watch? Huh? Your watch. Okay, my question to you. Is he the watch? Who is he in relation to the watch? Owner. He said my, right? Okay. Wallet છે? આપો ને. Therefore I didn't call an elderly person, you know. अच्छे हैं, कुछ भी कर सकते हैं बच्चों के साथ. What's this? Whose? He said it's his wallet. Is he the wallet? Who is he in relation to the wallet? Wow, great. ना ना अभी नहीं और कुछ. What is this? No, what is this? What is this? Hand. Okay. Whose hand? Your hand. Is he the hand? Who is he in relation to the hand? Owner. Follow the same logic. What is this? Body. Whose body? His body, he says. Is he the body? Who is he in relation to the body? Owner. Owner. Tenant. Trustee. सब फिलोसोफर हो गए इधर एकदम बड़े बड़े. हाँ? 2 दिन में फिलोसोफर बना दिया मैं सबको. माय गॉड. थैंक यू. हाँ? अरे किधर लेके जा रहे हैं? अरे नहीं ले जा ले जा. What's your name? Dharam. Please give a big hand to Dharam. Thank you. We'll always say this is my hand, my body, my head. Whenever I use the word my, that means I am in the relation of a owner, possessor, tenant, whichever way you want to call it, but I am inhabiting that place. It's not me. You say my car. Why? Because I am the driver and this is the car. If I am the body now, what do I say? I head aching too much, I stomach very hungry, I body very tired today. You don't say like that. My head is aching too much, my stomach hungry, my body is tired. If I say my body, that means I am different from the body, living within the body. And therefore, in logic, the second aspect of proof is just introspection. Carefully introspect and see when we talk my hand, my leg, my body. That means I am not the body, I am the soul. Let's go to the third one now. Logic. Cause and effect, Oh, everyone's saying, wow, BMW, man. Oh, Krishna. My friend got a BMW Beamer and going for a ride. He said, Prabhuji, front seat mein baitho na. I said, no, piche baitho. Arey, baitho na, Prabhuji. Aisa kya? बोला मैं ड्राइव कर रहा हूँ पीछे बैठेंगे. बोला नहीं आपकी वाइफ है ना बैठने. नहीं वो पीछे बैठेगी, वो बैठती रहती है, तर आप बैठो. सो आई सैट देयर. ही सेड प्रभु जी सीट कैसे चाहिए आपको? बोला जैसा रखे गया है, मैं कभी सोचा नहीं सीट कैसे चाहिए कार में. सो ही स्टार्टेड शेकिंग ऑल द बटन्स हियर देयर, द सीट स्टार्टेड मूविंग हियर देयर एंड देन ही सेट अ पोजीशन एंड ही सेड प्रभु जी प्रोग्राम्ड every single time you come, the next time whoever has turned the seat, whichever, I just press this button and exactly the way you had felt comfortable, the chair will go like that. When I press, I said, wow. And then suddenly he pressed the button and he started massaging me. मी म्हटलं अरे काय झालं असं इकडे मागे मागे काय. BMW, my goodness, what a car. When I go to Germany, Munich, I usually drive from one city to the other on the Autobahn. My God, 250 kilometers an hour. Incredible, I love it. I love it. So I tell all my friends when I say, drive man, India में ऐसा 22 किलोमीटर पे नहीं चलता है हम कभी. चलो 250 किलोमीटर पे ले जाओ. It's quite an amazing experience. When you have a car, the effect is that the car is being driven. When you see a car moving on the streets, again we are going to the cause and effect theory. When the car is being moved on the street, the car is running on the streets. Although the car's windows are all tainted and you can't see who's inside, you know that there is a driver inside without which the car will not budge a single inch, right? Except for in Mr. India. You can't see the driver, but वो लाल का चश्मा पहनेगा तो दिखेगा. But without driver, how the car has to move still? This body is exactly like a car. The two eyes are like the headlights. The two hands and the legs are like the wheels of the car. The mouth is like the horn. Honking बंद होता ही नहीं, दिन भर चालू है. Constant. The heart is like the engine. The belly is like the fuel tank. And everyone is saying, Prabhu, fuel घालायचं आहे, संपवा लवकर. Fuel is waiting up there, Body is exactly like a car. But until and unless there's a driver seated inside, the car cannot budge a single inch. How do you know that there is a soul within? How do you know there is a driver within in the car? The effect, the movement of the car. How do you know there is a soul within? है ना ड्राइवर अंदर? अगर अभी ड्राइवर चला गया इधर आपके सामने तो कार पार्क forever. Parked. You can imagine. My God. Hare Krishna. And you can imagine this car. Even if this movement is not there, a patient in coma, lying down in coma, there's no movement. I'm sorry. There's no movement at all, Lying down, absolutely lying down. But still the driver is there. Thinking is going on. Many times when patients come out of a state of coma, they explain to you what they were thinking. I'm going to show one slide today about it this evening. My God. Therefore, what is the greatest proof that there is a soul? There are three effects of the soul. Movement is there, no doubt. Three effects of the soul. The first one, thinking. Because even a patient in coma may not be able to move. But how do you know the soul is still there? What's going on? When he comes out of the state of coma, he'll tell you what he was thinking. Thinking is an effect which proves There is a soul. I hope all of you are thinking as I'm speaking. I'm sure all of you are thinking. I don't know about what. You know, everyone's thinking. If you have a dead body sitting right next to you, ऐसा बैठा है, तुम नहीं है, इधर बैठा है ऐसा, and he taps you. किती मस्त देतोय ना लेक्चर. सगळं कळलं बरं का मला. इसको हार्ट अटैक आके डेड बॉडी हो जाएगा वो. Not praying like that. My goodness. And feeling. Have you felt hurt? Have you felt inspired? Have you felt encouraged, appreciated, cheated, let down, turned off, excited, absolutely depressed, lonely? All these emotions. Feeling hot, cold, by the rule, man is a fool. When it's hot, he wants it cool. When it's cool, he wants it hot. Always wanting what is not. Imagine, feeling. Imagine a dead body coming and saying, "Garam ho raha hai, thoda thanda karo na." Where is the feeling? Dead body, you go and hug the dead body, kiss the dead body, pat the dead body. There's no feeling. What differentiates a living person from a dead person? Of course, movements. But when a person in coma, thinking, feeling, and willing. Willing. You make a will. वजन बढ़ गया है, योगा करूंगी, योगा करूंगा. It remains will only, and it will never happen. But willpower is there. My mother's telling me I want to make my will. Father's gone. I want to transfer my stuff in your and your sister's name before I die. I want to make a will. 10,000 dogs on the planet, all over the world, 10,000 dogs are beneficiaries to the wills of their masters, wealthy masters. Koi nahi, kutte ko jayega so property. Can't give it to a wife, can't give it to a child, can't give it to a family. There 10,000 dogs over the world today are beneficiaries to the wills of their masters, wealthy masters. Willing, all of you have willed to come again for this course. You have made the will to come here. You could have cut it off on day 1. You made the will to come on day 2. You made your will to come on day 3. That means the driver is there. Thinking, feeling, willing is the effect. The cause is the soul. The first logic has 3 aspects. Common sense, he has passed away. Introspection, my hand, my body, and cause and effect. Thinking, feeling, and willing. Let's move on to the second proof of the existence of the soul. We are looking at science now. In science, there's something called as near-death experiences. A patient in the OT, for a while, conks off. कभी-कभी तो permanent conk off होता है. Surgeon is standing, he was a devotee of Krishna. So he had a picture of Krishna in the OT, and the patient died. So he looked at Krishna, Prabhu, मेरी पहली भेंट स्वीकार करो. offered the soul to Krishna. My God. These surgeons in the OT, this was first founded by a doctor in America called Dr. Michael Sabom. He researched into this area extensively. What is a typical near-death experience? The ECG goes flat, the EEG goes flat, and the guy goes flat. Everything is flat. And suddenly you'll find after a while the guy coming back to life and telling you the experiences of how he or she saw his or her body from a perspective outside the body. And describe all the details. One of our sannyasis in ISKCON had a near-death experience. He was being operated for his belly, some ulcers in his stomach. And as he was operated, after the operation he was in the ICU. When he came back to consciousness, he's a German by birth, born in Germany. So the German doctor came to see him. And he's an ISKCON sannyasi, a guru in ISKCON. As he came back to consciousness, the first statement he told this doctor is, in German of course, I don't know how to say it, except for saying Danke schön and Guten Morgen. I don't know much of German. He said to this guy, the doctor, Doctor, you have to know that the life of the patient is very crucial. You have to know that the operation theatre is not a place to discuss golf. The doctor was surprised. How did this gentleman who was under complete anesthesia, full anesthesia, not local anesthesia, know that we were discussing golf? Then he even said, "Doctor, do you remember? You were about to cut the wrong nerve and you were stopped by the other surgeon while discussing golf." Got red-handed. इसको कैसे पता लगा? ये तो पूरा गया था. That's when this doctor looked into Michael Sabom's books on near-death experiences, where you find a person going outside the body, looking from a perspective outside the body. What's happening happens in very few cases, but does, to tell us that we are not this body. The person dwelling within is the soul who comes out of the body and looks at the body from a perspective outside. Dr. Eben Alexander, neurosurgeon, neurosurgeon, a professor of neurosurgery at the Harvard University, no less than Harvard. Ivy League colleges I'm talking about. I'm not talking about some medical colleges in this country. Not that they are any less. But to say that I'm talking of the top Ivy League colleges, Harvard. This man was a professor at Harvard, very skeptical about the soul, very skeptical about an afterlife, very skeptical about God, very skeptical about anything that's connected to these kind of religious fundamental ideas and ideologies. This man, I believe he was 19 something, I can't remember when it was. I think it was on 10th of November 2008. At the age of 54, just about 5 years back, this man got severe meningitis in the brain. Went in a stage of coma for 7 days. And after he came back from the state of coma, he wrote a book which is entitled The Proof of Heaven. And recently Oprah Winfrey, who is known to many times slander people, he can just cut you down if you're not together with your thoughts. She interviewed Dr. Eben Alexander. And the last question she asked is, "Eben, can you say for certain that there is a God?" Eben Alexander put his hand on his heart and said, "Undoubtedly." 7 days of journey, 7 days in coma, changed his perspective, We should not wait for that coma to change our perspective. 6 days is enough for us. At Prempuri. Why go through coma to wait and then write, barabar bol rahe the wo log, barabar bol rahe the. He had a near-death experience also, which he talks of. If you are interested, you may read his book. You may even read something on the websites, the stuff. The second scientific proof for the existence of the soul is what is called as past life memories. Where a tiny little child starts talking about something, you ask a 3-year-old, that's the guy I wanted to invite here today. There's only one in Bombay. Only one in Bombay who remembers his past life and is a close friend of mine. Unfortunately, he was so busy this evening with an event, but he said he may come tomorrow. Tomorrow is free. I'm going to tell you the story today, and I may invite him tomorrow because you already heard the story, so there's no point in calling him tomorrow. But if you want to have him over and ask him a few questions, I may call him here tomorrow. That's the surprise I had, but unfortunately we can't get that surprise today because he's hosting an event. He teaches Vedic mathematics. He lives in New Bombay, so he has some event which he's hosting, so he can't come down here today. His case was researched by Dr. Ian Stevenson, professor of psychiatry, Carlson Professor of Psychiatry at the University of West Virginia, United States of America. His student, whose name is Dr. Mrs. Satwant Pasricha, sits at NIMHAMS, National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences. Whatever, neuroscience, whichever way it is. Am I right? National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience, that's how it's called, right? NIMHAMS. She looked into the case personally. Dr. Stevenson has investigated 2,000 cases of past life memories, out of which 1,300 he has personally looked into. Every past life case is looked at with great cynical attitude and skepticism that this cannot be right. And the person who's saying that he has a past life memory, is a tiny child, has to prove it. without having no mention in media. Just whatever he says, they take him there. And he has to prove it by whatever it has to be corroborated. Books are available all over the market today. You'll find the market flooded with books. Except for Indians, everywhere in the world, people believe in reincarnation. It's funny that the Western psychology has influenced us so much that our basic tenets we have forgotten and everyone else is subscribing to it. You know, a little child will start talking. Ask him his age, he'll say 65. 3 saal ka hai. His mother tongue is Gujarati, he talks Marwadi. Doesn't know where he learned Marwadi from. Talks about having a son who is 35 years old. 3 saal ka baap, 35 saal ka beta, kaisa ho sakta hai? You know, quite incredible. I must tell you the story now. I'm sure you will be intrigued, interested. How I wish this man could be with us. Because when you hear it from the horse's mouth, makes more impact than when I tell it. But nevertheless, I have all the newspaper cuttings of this is the gentleman. Every single time I do this course, I call him. So this is one of the courses where I'm talking and I invited him to speak, for this course. Name, Deep Kapadia, born in Mumbai, 1984, I believe, in Borivali, to a Gujarati family. Very sweet Gujarati family. Udaipurna Rajputno Mumbai ma Punarjanma. Chitralekha read an article called Udaipurna Rajputna Mumbai ma Punarjanma. Agla janmni premika putra ane patni ni vato yaad karto 5 વર્ષનો Gujarati balak. And down it says, હાથમાં બંદૂક આપ્યાય ત્યારે દીપ ખીલી ઉઠે છે. Little 2-year-old Deep, when he gets a gun in his hand, even a toy gun, he gets excited. Deep has told me the trauma that he would have to go through whenever he would get these memories. He would get high fevers, severe fevers, headaches. Sometimes he would faint because he wasn't able to handle the identities, confusions, Deep, when he was just about 2.5, was born to Rajan Bhai and Lata Ben in Borivali, father and mother. You can see Deep sitting on the lap of Rajan Bhai and with his eyes closed, thinking about his past life, 2-year-old child, not sleeping, thinking about his past life. Pita Rajan Kapadiana God, what is that? Kholama Bethelo. Chata agla janna khyal ma dubelo deep. My Gujarati is not all that bad, I can read it. And Mata Lata Ben. Suddenly this boy started talking about his age being 65 or so. Started talking about the Fatehpur palace in Udaipur. Started talking about having a son who is 35 years old. Started talking how he was bitterly murdered by the Maharaj of Udaipur by giving poison and milk. Parents were not able to make out anything out of it. They took him to Babas, Hakims, Fakirs, psychiatrists, doctors, psychologists, everyone. With no solutions available to what he was going through. Finally, the case was brought to the attention of Dr. Satwant Pashricha, who personally got involved. And from Mumbai Central, when Deep was about 2.5, 3, for the first time he was taken out of Bombay. He didn't know how to read, how to write. He didn't know anything. He's a tiny boy. Boarded the train to go to Udaipur. As they sat in the train moving, and while the train's moving, just about 5 stations before Udaipur, the team decided to research. So they asked the other people, Dr. Pashricha asked other people, Kitna station baki hai? 5. Kya naam hai bata? All the names. They came to Deep and said, how many stations left? He said, 5. What are the names? He told all the names. 2.5-year-old child doesn't know the stations of Bombay. First time he's leaving out of Bombay. And then they decided, when Udaipur comes, we won't tell him. He doesn't know how to read. He has to lead the party. So when Udaipur arrived, the whole party, he said, get down, station has come. He let them all out and crossed the bridge to come to a place where there was a Tangawala standing. He said, Ramu, kaisa hai? Ramu बोला, मैं तो ठीक हूँ, तू कौन है? मैं तो ठीक हूँ, तू कौन है? बोला, मैं वो सिक्योरिटी गार्ड फतेहपुर में. तू? गया ना, दाल में कुछ काला है. They took a tonga and the team said, you have to lead us to your house. Twice deep was wrong because there was a change of the street construction. It wasn't as it was before he died in his previous life. Finally Deep came to the place where was his house. That you can see that 2.5-year-old Deep Kapadia knocking at the door of the 2-storied home. And as he entered into the house, there was a 35, 40, whatever-year-old man. He'll give us the exact details. I couldn't read all the Gujarati. The whole article is with me. For those who are interested, I can forward it to you. I didn't get the time to go through it all. This guy hugged him, you know. अभी ऊपर कैसे जाएगा? वो चिंटू है बड़ा. तो पैर को हक के बोला, बेटा कैसा है? 3 साल का बाप, 35 साल का बेटा बोला, कैसा है बेटा? तो बेटे को पता लगा दाल में काला है. What is he saying? I'm a father? Said, I can trust if you are my father. My father used to hide his gun, his revolver. He was a security man in a place which only me and my father knew. If this child can tell me where that gun is now, I'm sure my father's soul has come back again in this body of this child. This child went up comfortably to the 2nd floor of the house, asked him the key for the safe, opened the safe, behind a picture put his hand and pulled a revolver out and gave it to his father, the son. To add to it all, he led everyone to the Fatehpur Palace, the city palace, which is now a museum. And when there, he got on to the terrace of that place. You can see in both the pictures, to look into all the details of the place, and started showing them around every place. This particular thing which he's showing is a painting which was on a door. No one knew it was a door. No one in that place knew it was a door. He knew was particular whatever button, whatever to press there. Pressed that and the door opened. And they went inside, which was a place underneath in a godown where a lot of things that were like antique were kept there. And there was a thing called a kerosene fan. Deep Kapadia, you don't know how to turn a fan on, 2.5-year-old child. Asked for kerosene, opened the knobs, put the fuel rightly, knew how to turn it on and operated the kerosene fan for everyone. You know. My God. Hare Krishna. This was the man who was murdered. The security guard at the Fatehpur Palace in Udaipur was killed deliberately by the then Maharaj of Udaipur through food poisoning and given through milk. And Deep I want him to come here tomorrow. Of course, it's a traumatizing experience for him. Now he's come over it because he's much older. He's about 30, 33. First time I met him was at Ruparel. I've gone to Ruparel College to give a talk. 1997. I was giving a talk on life after death, fact or fiction to all the college students. And he was there. And I was quoting Ian Stevenson and कोई तो एक story उठा के मैं धनाधन बोल रहा हूँ तो इसने हाथ उठाया. I am a case study of Ian Stevenson. मैं बोला चुप. I looked around, no girls were there. लड़की आए तो ऐसा लड़के करते रहते हैं impress करने के लिए, कुछ तो करना होता है उनको. I said, no girls were there. What? Then he gave all these cuttings and showed the whole story. Past life memories is a proof of the soul. You know how? Because this gentleman's body was cremated in Udaipur. And Deep's body was born in Borivali. There was no physical connection at all. The brain contents could not be transferred. How do you transfer the data? USB है क्या? लगाया hard drive, transferred. No. Only one connection. The soul. Moving from one body to the other. The third proof for the existence of the soul is scripture. The Bhagavad Gita tells us. Yesterday we proved that scripture is important for us to accept because it's the word of God, and we discussed this evening why put faith in scriptures. The scriptures tell us we are not this body, we are the soul, like a bird in a cage, trapped, you know. What limitation for the soul What an embarrassing cage this is. Get up in the morning and you know how embarrassing this is. With all the decor and the party in the night before, go and sleep and get up and see what happens. Everything finished. Whew. Highly embarrassing. Open your mouth and the foul smell. Whew. Embarrassing cage. Therefore, I believe all these movie songs are all related to freedom, you know. पंख होते तो उड़ जाती रे जा रे उड़ जा रे पंछी बहारों के देश जा रे यहाँ क्या है मेरे प्यारे. Seems like this is such a common theme, you know. Freedom trapped here in the cage. And how much attention to the cage? Shampoos, cosmetics, mascaras. I'm not against them. सब लेडीज बोल रही बाहर निकलो, बताते हम आपको सबको मिलके ऐसे धोएंगे ना, अगले बार कभी मस्कारा फस्कारा बोलेगा नहीं लेक्चर में. अरे I'm not against them. I'm saying while taking care of the cage, can you forget the bird inside? The cage is meant for the bird. For the bird to live. While you take care of the bodies, which is like a cage, don't forget the needs of the bird, which is like the soul. While you take care of cars, don't forget the driver. And the fuel for the car and the driver are different. You can't go to the petrol pump and वो आता है ना fuel लेके, बोला डाल मुंह में, भूख लगी है. And then you get juice and put it in the fuel tank. अरे दोनों का fuel अलग है. लेकिन ड्राइवर को फ्यूल नहीं देंगे ना, कार में कितना भी फ्यूल भरा हो वो लुढ़क जाएगा, आगे कार कैसे बढ़ेगी. भाइयों और बहनों, आपने आपके जीवन में कार को तो बहुत ध्यान दिया है जी, थोड़ा ड्राइवर के पास भी देखिए. आपने आपके जीवन में पिंजड़े को तो बहुत साफ किया है जी, भीतर बैठे पंछी पे भी ध्यान दीजिए. एंड देयरफॉर द स्क्रिप्चर टेल्स अस दैट देयर इज इंडीड अ soul. Are you all with me? Another 23 minutes to go, friends, and I shall stop as the clock ticks. 9. Can you show me the soul? Like every time we began by saying today, can you show me God? Cause and effect is what we discussed. How many of you have seen a rose flower like this? I'm sure you have, isn't it? Is there ittar in that rose? You know what ittar is? Is there ittar in that rose? Yes, there is. You can't see it. When that rose goes through a process, na, what is in there is revealed to us. Is there oil in the sesame seeds still? Yes, there is. I can't see it. But when it goes through a process, na, it becomes visible. Is there fire in the wood? Yes, there is. Otherwise, I give this much fire only with a matchstick. How so much comes out unless it's in there, stored there? There is fire in the wood. When I go it through a process, ignited, it comes out. You know, is there ghee in the milk? Yes, there is. Can I see it? No. There is a process. दूध का दही, दही का मक्खन, मक्खन को जलाओ, जलाने के बाद घी. There is a process to see it. You milk straight, you can't see it. But when you have it go through a process, you can. Is there jaggery in sugarcane? Yes, there is. When it goes through a process, I can see it. Which means there is a process to see the soul. There is a process to measure lengths. There is a process to test chemicals. There is a process to see organisms. And there is a process to see the soul. You cannot see the soul like that. Naked, I say. किधर है तेरा आत्मा? साइलेंट हो गया वो. You can't see the soul like this. There's a process, a spiritual process. You can't see a microorganism without a microscope. What to speak of seeing the soul, which is spiritual in nature? Just like every science has its tools to see its particular objects that they study, spiritual science has its tools to see the objects of their subject. What are the objects of spiritual science? God, soul, and you can see them. If you go through that process, you can never see anything without a process. If you bring a slide of Hydra, बोले दिखा मेरे को, अरे laboratory में चल, नहीं ऐसा दिखा, आता ऐसा कैसा दाखवायचं? Microscope के नीचे रखेंगे तब दिखेगा ना. Everyone wants to see the soul and God just like that, whereas they want a microscope to see the slide of Hydra. So just like every science has tools, spiritual science has tools as well. Friends, are you all with me still? Our slide color is changing. Please take note. I'm sorry. How many bodies do all of us have? 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. All of us have 3 bodies. Not 1. झटका दे दिया एक और. All of us have 3 bodies. The first body is called the gross body or the sthula sharira. It's made of 5 things: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. That ether is not the chemical ether. Ether here stands for space. Bhumi, Vayu, Jal, Agni, Akash. Panchamahabhut. These 5 things form what is called the Sthula Sharira, which is like the blazer outside. Coat. Inside the coat is the second Sharira or the vest. And that vest is compared to the subtle body called as the Sukshma Sharira or the Linga Sharira. And the Sukshma Sharira is made of 3 elements called the mind, the intelligence, and the ego. Friends, you can see my coat made of the Pancha Mahabhut. You can't see my vest. You can't see my mind, my ego, and intelligence. You will only see it when my body reveals it. You know, when I speak something, show anger in my eyes, then you'll see the state of my mind. You can't see my mind. You know. And inside the vest is the guy. The guy who wears the coat. And the blazer and the vest. You know. That is the spiritual body or the soul. The Atma is a person, not a light. This is a body, spiritual body. Just like we wear a vest and a coat, the soul has worn a vest of mind, intelligence and ego, and has worn the blazer of earth, water, fire, air and ether, which is this body. I went to Moscow, and in Moscow, at the Moscow State University, I picked up this thing called as a Matryoshka. Matryoshka is a Russian doll. It's a very beautiful one. And it's a very interesting one, you know. I'm going to show it to you here. I'm not going to talk as I'm talking. Our body is composed of 3 things. Some frequently asked questions about the soul. Just to conclude today, we are doing very well today. 15 minutes left. And I have just a few slides. ज़्यादा बोर नहीं करूँगा. 9 बजे आज पूरा खत्म हो जाएगा, देखना. और आज कल का पेंडिंग करके खत्म हो जाएगा. The first question: does the soul have a form, or is the soul formless? Does this cloth have a form? This shawl of mine, ironed well, but I'm going to. Has a form? No. Cloth itself is formless. Put it like that, where's the form? Does my fist have a form? Yes, it does. As soon as I put my fist in the formless cloth, see what happens? The cloth gets the form. My body, made of earth, water, fire and ether, is like the shawl, you know. When it falls off, that's what happens. When the body dies, like this. You see this cloth? The earth goes to the earth, water to the water, fire to the fire, air to the air, ether to the ether. The bones are made of these things and they also disintegrate. Like this. All disintegrates. While I'm living, look at my sharp nose. You know? Why? Because inside the soul that resides has a form. That is why the body gets a form. Why does my shirt have 2 hands? Because I have 2 hands. Isn't it? My shirt has 2 hands. If Vishnu were to wear a shirt, he'll have 4 hands. He doesn't wear a shirt, therefore. Imagine stitching a shirt for Lord Vishnu. You'll never find Vishnu having shirt. In that movie, Oh My God, also Paresh Rawal says this. You know? Paresh Rawal says to that Akshay Kumar who comes as Kisan or whatever his name is, he says, अरे तू भगवान बोलता है अपने आप को, he is kind of telling I'm a Christian. He says, हमारे भगवान ऐसा कपड़ा नहीं पहनते ऊपर, नीचे पहनते बस. तू ऐसा शर्ट पहन के है, कैसे भगवान है? My God. The body, matter, made of matter is formless. Soul gives form to matter. Why does the glove have a form? Because the hand has a form. Is the soul in everybody the same? Okay, I'm going to do some exercise with you. Tell me what I was thinking. अरे हंसते क्यों है बोलो? संस्कृत में ना एक कहावत है, उसको कहते हैं आत्मवान मन्यते जगत. आत्मवान मन्यते जगत मतलब जिसको भूख लग जाती है ना उसको लगता है सबको भूख लगी. That's just a fun, on the lighter side, like just jokes around. Don't worry. It's a nice thing to just keep going, just having some fun together. But I do think sometimes like that. आज क्या है? How many of you think when you get back home आज क्या बनाया होगा घर पे? Many ना, most ना, क्या होगा घर पे आज, क्या होगा? It's an exciting thing to come back after. अरे कुछ तो बॉस ने परेशान किया, खाने में तो अच्छा होना चाहिए यार घर पे, you know. Therefore, people who have nice wives, nice mothers, good sisters at home, who cook for them personally, I tell you, cooking personally, put so much affection in that food. And I'll tell you, food is such a... Anyway, we'll talk about it some other time. मेरा ऐसा distraction बहुत चलता रहता है. We have 11 minutes left. I know what you're thinking. कब खत्म होगा? Unanimously. Every soul is an individual soul. In your body and my body, we are different individual souls, because if all of our souls were the same, then what I am thinking, you should know. And what you are thinking, I should know. I don't know what you're thinking, you don't know what I am thinking, which means the soul in your body is a different one from mine. It's not that in everybody एक ही soul था, कट के सब में आ गया ऐसा. There's one homogeneous soul and that got cut and divided into pieces and is now in everybody, and then once everyone dies, then all this will mix together and tattvamasi, thou art that. Doesn't work like that. The third question that people are asked is, रहता किधर है आत्मा? So F in the acronym stands for the soul has a form. I in the acronym stands for the soul is an individual. R in the acronym stands for the residence of the soul. Where does it reside? The soul resides in the region of the heart. Region of the heart. Therefore, where the heart pumps blood to all the different parts of the body, right? And the consciousness of the soul is carried by the blood to all different parts of the body. All different part of the body. Therefore, you see, sometimes when you sit like this for a long time and the blood flow doesn't reach to your place, your feeling goes away. I said the effect is what? Thinking, feeling and willing. The feeling goes away, what you call as numbness. What's coma? When the nervous system is not working properly, the feeling is there, but the nervous system is not able to communicate that. Right. Blood carries consciousness from the region of the heart. Whose consciousness? The consciousness of the soul. So R stands for residence of the soul. Is the soul destroyed at death? No, friends. It is not destroyed at death. The soul is Sat Chit Ananda. What does Sat means? Eternal. Satya means truth. Sat means eternal. Can never be destroyed by the power of time. Krishna says in the Gita, Nainam chindanti shastrani. A gun cannot destroy the soul. It can only destroy a body. Nainam dahati pavakaha. Someone commits suicide by burning himself. My aunt committed suicide. My youngest aunt, my father's sister, by burning herself to death. I was in class 3 at 7. 6, 7, whatever the age is. Only me and my sister were at the home, and I saw my aunt on flames coming out of the kitchen. I cannot forget that scene even today. I didn't know what was happening. We didn't know we were little kids. And she just fell, collapsed on the ground, and then she had to be rushed to the hospital. And all I know is later my mother told me she's no more for months. I was very attached to her. She took care of me more than my mother did. And it was very hard for me to accept that she's gone. Fire cannot kill the soul, it only burns the body. Nainam kledayantyapo. Water cannot destroy the soul. All it does is the body, and I have seen dead bodies floating in the Ganga coming down from Rishikesh to Haridwar. I've seen so many times. I've spent a lot of time at the Birla House in Rishikesh, staying there, and I know what it means to see these dead bodies floating on the waters. Stoppage of air cannot kill the soul. In Las Vegas, in one hospital, there was gambling by the nurses. How long will the patient survive? You know what one of the nurses did? Took off the oxygen mask that night. Patient died. Brought to the notice of the dean, and then from then there is a legal law in Las Vegas now. Because it's a city of gambling, they gamble over life as well. But the soul can never be destroyed by any power of this world. Therefore, E in the fire stands for the soul is eternal, which means beyond the power of anything material to destroy it. What is destroyed is the body by the power of the material thing. Is the soul the same as God? Yes and no. DO stands for the soul is different, and O stands for the soul is one. Different from God and one with God. How? Just like a drop of water in the ocean. When you take a drop of water from the ocean and taste it, is it salty? Is it the same as the water in the ocean? Yes. It's one with the ocean water in quality. But it's different from the ocean water in quantity. The ocean is huge. The drop is tiny. Every soul, each one of us is the same in quality with God. He is eternal, we are eternal. But we are different in quantity. He is infinite, we are infinitesimal. He is Vibhu, we are Anu. He is massive, we are tiny. He is unlimited, we are limited. So DO stands for different in quantity, one in quality. Next question, 5 minutes to go. Does the soul change with the changing body? It doesn't. If you come to our temple, you'll see that diorama where the child is born and then they grows and then the whole cycle. All of us, our bodies have changed. Does the mother say, "Tu माझा मुलगा नाही है? माझा मुलगा नाही एवढूसा होता असा. ऐसा का मोठा घोडा झाला होता." This is not my son. For the mother, the child is the same. Even the old child, 70-year-old and the 93-year-old mother will say, "कसं रे खाल्लं नाही बाळ? बाळ? 70 वर्षाचा बाळ? बेटा खाया नहीं बेटा? पिटू चिंटू पिंटू खाया नहीं? अरे पिंटू काय? 73 years old." The soul never changes. What changes is the body. And the change is so small and subtle, we don't even note it, We don't even note it. If we are careful, we'll see in the mirror. Suddenly in the stubble, a grey hair, wrinkle. Marilyn Monroe, when she saw the first wrinkle on her face, she couldn't take it. She went in the room and never came out. Known to commit suicide, couldn't handle that. How will people take me with this wrinkle on my face? Gone to the winds, molten into oblivion. British English, my God. Hare Krishna. I saw in England an epitaph on a tomb. And it was written on the tomb, "Remember me as you pass by, as you are now, so once was I. As I am now, you shall be, so be prepared to follow me." The last change is what? Death. How many of you been to Rome, Italy? If you've been to Rome, Italy, walk about a kilometer, 2 kilometers from the Vatican Church, Sistine Chapel, and about 2 kilometers walking down. I like to walk. You just walk, and there's a church. It's an amazing place. The whole cathedral and the church is made of bones and skulls. Whole place. It's made of the skulls and skeletons and bones of all the priests of the church who are buried there. Every priest has been kept there. Every single father, every single priest, their bodies were taken out, and their skulls and their bones in the church. Even the cross is made of bones. You must visit that place. It's a very sobering place. I love that place. And there's a monk, skeleton, sitting at the last exit of the church, like this, like this, lying down. And there's a board in his hand. It's a willow board. As you are now, once was I, and as I am now, you shall be. The last change is death, but the soul doesn't change, and like deep Kapadia, it'll move to another car, cannot come in the same car again. Which car will that be? 5th day we will talk about which car will I get after death. So many models available in the market. Which one? Dog model, cat model, bacteria model, microbe model, human model. Which model will I take? Why don't I remember what Deep remembered, He remembered his past life. Why don't I? Those who are interested, contact me because I have 2 minutes left. C refers to changeless. What is the size of the soul? The size of the soul, our scriptures say, is if you take the tip of a hair, balagra shatabhagasya shatada kalpitasya cha. Not the hair. I had to have someone with gel, Tip दिखना चाहिए ना, नहीं तो फायदा कैसे? Tip दिखना चाहिए इसलिए वो slide लिया, ऐसा बाल खड़ा रहना चाहिए. Take the tip of a hair, pull out a hair and the tip of a hair, divide that tip into 10,000 parts, and take one part of it. That's said to be the size of the soul. 1 by 10,000th the tip of a hair. The soul is even smaller than that. But just to give you an idea of how small it is, some measurement has to be given. And imagine that tiny little soul inhabits the bodies of the tiny ant, a massive elephant, a huge whale, all that same soul. And that soul, when it is in the body, ऐसा 4 लोगों को उठाता था. इधर एक, इधर 2, 4 बच्चे और घूमता तो चारों बच्चे ऐसा मेरी को राउंड होता है. And when the soul leaves, then वो body को carry करने के लिए 4 लोग लगते हैं. Imagine that tiny spark gives so much power that when it is gone, all power is lost. People have to carry us, And therefore fire dogs. F, soul has a form. I, soul is an individual. R, residence of the soul is in the region of the heart. E, the soul is eternal, never destroyed by time. D, O, soul is different in quantity from God, one in quality with God. C, the soul is changeless. What changes is the body. And S, the size of the soul is 1/10,000, the tip of a hair. This story I shall tell you tomorrow. We will just conclude with a summary. This is a short story, but we still will end at 9. It's already 9. Summary. What we discussed this evening was our identity. We are not the body, we are the spirit, soul. Proof, in logic we discussed common sense. वो मुझे छोड़ के चला गया, कौन? Second, introspection. My hand, my leg, my watch, my body. Third, cause and effect. Thinking, feeling, willing. In science we discussed near-death experiences and past life memories, the case study of Deep Kapadia. Thirdly, we discussed scripture talks about how we are like a bird trapped in a cage. And we can't just attend to the cage, but also need to attend to the bird inside the cage. Seeing the soul, there's a process. The ittar in the rose, the ghee in the milk, the oil in the sesame seeds, the jaggery in the sugarcane, or the fire in the wood. Unseen now. But when there's a process, it can be seen. We have 3 bodies, not 1. The first body is gross body made of the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Second body, subtle body made of mind, intelligence, ego. Third is our spiritual body, the soul itself. And the final point we discussed was the 7 qualities of the soul. how the soul has a form, how the soul is individual, how the soul resides in the heart, how the soul is eternal, how the soul is different in quantity and one in quality with God, how the soul is changeless, and how the size of the soul is 1/10,000, the tip of a hair. I am 2 minutes late according to the watch there. I am dot on time according to my watch on the computer, and I don't follow that one. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.